We are often overwhelming our brain or overloading it with garbage, scrolling past the reels of BS, and it's like garbage entering our mind. A lot like fishing, but we're catching rubbish and finding that there's nothing really at the end of that line. Consuming information is a lot like this. It starts as something worth saving, the recipe, vision board, the business idea, but where does it all go? Into a void where other inspired ideas go to die. The problem with collecting information is most times we don't know how to capture it correctly. But what do you do with the decent information that you're consuming? It's so frustrating when you have an idea or inspiration with a bank of resources scattered everywhere and no way of ever finding it again. This leads to the exact same feeling in the mind, scattered. A vague sense of, I knew what to do before, why not now? Or you have this constant nagging feeling like you're behind or you're not doing enough. This restlessness comes from having too many options and no clear path, and the guilt of not using the resources you have or the ideas that you have collected. Think about the courses or YouTube tutorials or podcasts that you've listened to that change your whole reality, only to find that when you want to explain to someone why it was so amazing, that the words just can't seem to form. You don't need to stop taking in ideas, but you need a better way to channel them. Most people hoard information because they have nowhere to put it, or nowhere clear to put it. But this will change when you have a better way to capture your ideas. I realized to have more flow in my life, it was all about capturing ideas correctly, so they fuel progress rather than create chaos or overwhelm. Because when you have too many ideas, scattered thoughts, that ends up being exactly how you process that type of information. When you go to explain those insights, you're not able to because the words can't clearly form. You don't have them in an organized space to be able to articulate them in a way that makes sense to the learnings that you've achieved. It's important to see capturing ideas this way, because if you focus your attention on the right things and capture it in an organized fashion, in a way that stores it for you to go back to, this allows you to start capturing and storing ideas with a purpose. When I first started in business, I had no idea how to capture the information I was consuming. There was all these great ideas that I was seeing, but it gave me so much overwhelm trying to navigate where to put these or how to capture them correctly. But when I learned how to do this strategy, it changed my whole reality, both personally and professionally. By having somewhere to connect these with action, they didn't just sit in storage anymore. I learned when I had a high energy signal, I needed to do something with it. I needed a way to put it somewhere, whether it be scrolling and come across that idea or learning it in the moment. I had to have some kind of system that put these things in place so that I could return to them and put them back into my business, rather than them be just more mental noise that nag and annoy me because I wasn't able to capture them correctly. I often message myself these high energy signal ideas through WhatsApp. I find it's an effective way because it works across multiple devices. By being able to capture it on my phone, then open it in my computer, I'm able to action it and put it into a priority, a project, something I can do something with it, usually the following day. It's important to open the capture on my computer and add the idea to the right category in a timely manner. That way I can return to it, build on the idea, and see how it relates to the current projects I'm working on, or decide if it feels less relevant with fresh eyes. There is a rule in website design that says nothing should be 3 clicks away, and this applies to this. The less thought process or navigation to go from signal to captured, the better. This works for me, but is under constant refinement. Think about ways you can capture your information. As some suggestions, have a space dedicated to your thoughts and ideas, a digital system. This could be a tool like Notion, Obsidian, or Google Docs. And the beauty of having a digital system is that you can not lose it if you back it up correctly. And message yourself. So like I said, I use WhatsApp, but most social platforms have this ability for you to message yourself. So whilst you're scrolling, you can send yourself those good ideas and put them straight into action the following day or when it makes sense to. It's good not to leave it for too long, because otherwise these ideas do end up becoming a bit of noise, which I will talk about later. But then there's also your phone notes. You can use your device's native app to create notes to yourself as well. So that's an effective way of zoning in on your ideas. And I also use that from time to time, particularly with the voice option to be able to create a note as you're driving or things like that. The native notes apps are quite handy. The idea with all this is that you have a drop zone. It keeps it uncluttered and you are more likely to return to it then. If you are scrolling and come across something worth building on, pause and drop it into your capture system. Whether that is your notes app or a message to yourself or a digital space, you have to be able to trust your capture system. You capture it first, build later. If you do not trust that you will return to it, it becomes that mental nagging noise that will keep nagging you because it's important. But some ideas are just shiny objects. They're distractions, and not everything deserves your attention. Just because it resonates in the moment does not mean that it's worth building on later. Over time, you'll get to learn which are the better ideas to capture in your system, but it takes practice. When you capture ideas, even the throwaways, you leave a trail behind you of your thought patterns. Some might spark something new later on, others show how far you've come on your journey. Either way, for you, it's a win in progress or perspective. So what do you do with the ones that are game-changing? You sort them by category, by project, or priority. You give them a place to grow, because these ideas are more than just passing scrolls. All of these are great ways to capture your ideas, but they do not stay here. After you've captured your ideas, you have to put them somewhere that relates to the other information you've captured. This will change over time, but you need to have a system for the system. You might be wondering why bother, but if you have a great place to capture information, you never lose it. Those courses, YouTubes, podcasts, now you're able to shift your whole reality and also pass on that shift to somebody else, because you can now explain clearly what made it so amazing. So when you find those ideas, whether it be a course, a podcast, a YouTube video, you're able to not only have your perspective shifted, but you're able to pass it on because you've captured the information, and you'll be able to articulate it better because you're able to understand how it relates to the other parts of your learning. Because you've captured it, you have a system in place for your insight. Most people don't have a knowledge problem, they have a storage problem. They take in these powerful ideas that shift their whole perspective and unlocks a new way of thinking, but then it fades. That's the trap. So without a capture system, you feel inspired in the moment, but then scattered later, wondering why nothing sticks. When you have a system for what you consume, you build clarity instead of chaos. You turn insight into action. Information becomes wisdom when it is captured with purpose and connected to action. To stop overfeeding your brain and making use of what you consume, the solution is simple. Catch, categorize, connect. To catch it, you use one of the trusted places we discussed earlier to quickly turn those captured ideas into something you can refer to back later. Do not let the inspiration drift by. Capture these signals in a reliable spot. Categorize it. So to categorize it, you need to give the idea a home. What was it for a project, a quote, a question answered? Label it clearly. Start with simple buckets. So you might find that it fits into projects, ideas, inspiration, questions. All of these are different categories, but it's better to make your own and just focus on the ones that are leverageable for you. The ones that make it easier to take action or spark something new. That way you can find what you need without sorting through chaos. 3, connect it. Link it to something that matters. Ideas gain power when they are part of a system, not floating alone. This is where clarity happens, where you refine, decide, and move forward. Sparking ideas not only changes your life, but it lets you explain how. When you capture well, you create well. You don't just collect content, you build clarity and confidence. And you can finally explain what made it all click. From this patch of existence to yours, thank you for watching. Keep building with clarity, it compounds.